good news to report on nearly all fronts.
Perch patterns have been working really well.
This week's BuzzBite Report.
Just keep snapping it off the bottom.
Auto chart live.
You've got fish doing a number of different things.
See a lot of them?
Oh, yeah!
They are heavy. Look at this giant. How's that?
We're talking primetime panfish, hot angling tactics, and red-hot bites from all around the upper Midwest. Gotta be AnglingBuzz TV. I'm Dave Sanda.
And I'm Troy Lindner.
And joining us later in the show are BuzzBite reporters in the field with local updates from their regional waters.
And today's subject again is primetime panfish. And when I think of panfishing, it's basically what most anglers were introduced to. In every single lake, you can go off any dock, you can catch panfish. And also the easiest way to introduce new anglers into our great sport is through panfish.
Oh, absolutely. When I was a kid, I used to lay on my grandfather's dock. I picked out the widest gap between the boards, and I laid down there and looked through, and I picked out the biggest panfish to catch, and I had to hope that they didn't get stuck between the boards when I pulled them back up again. But no matter how old you get, the sight of a bobber going down never gets old. Everybody loves that.
Amen.
I think I got your fish. He just dumped it. Special right there. Come on, buddy. Oh.
While game fish like walleyes and bass often get the glory, panfish anglers often account for the most fishing activity and interest. That's because panfish are fun and easy to catch.
This is the world record red air current here out of Lake Havasu. Just imagine catching almost a 6-pound bluegill. Put it in
Hey Al, we got the guy right here that caught it.
You did!
Anyone, young or old, beginner or expert, can catch panfish using simple light tackle and basic techniques. Spring is a great time to instill angling interest and excitement in youngsters because when you get lots of panfish bites, you equate fishing with success and enjoyment. When kids can hardly wait to go fishing again, they're usually hooked for life. Panfish are usually prolific and self-sustaining. That's a good thing because many folks enjoy not just catching them, but also taking a few home to eat. They're mighty tasty and nutritious. And you seldom need to worry about keeping a few as long as you don't overharvest the bigger ones. So toss the larger fish back to help maintain a healthy and balanced population. That ensures fish of all sizes for the future rather than large numbers of pint-sized bait stealers. During early spring feeding forays, panfish often feed like crazy, making them extremely easy to catch.
Oh, look at the size of that bluegill, Al. Those are just magnums, man.
Once they begin focusing on nesting activities, however, they seldom feed as aggressively.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yep. Nice.
Nice blackie.
They will, however, still eat if you dangle a tasty morsel right on their noses. That's where bobber fishing comes in, as we'll see later in the show.
Oh boy, they're just twins.
Yeah, this is a great time of the year to go pan fishing, and unlike other species where you might only get 1 or 2 bites, you're definitely going to catch something going for them.
Now, that's the nice thing about them. Also, they're very much in shallow water right now, so they're within easy access to everybody. But there could be a subtle transition going on as we see crappies and bluegills shifting from areas that were predominantly feeding more to the areas where they're actually going to spawn. The nice thing is they're up shallow, and if you put your sunglasses on, your polarized lenses, you're going to see them, and when you see them, you can catch them.
Excellent, excellent. And right now, we want to bring you our Angling Buzz news for this week. The 18th annual Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic took place earlier this month on the Mississippi River, supporting the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This year, they raised over $340,000, with the top team raising $32,000. North Dakota angler Nathan LaFleur caught and released a potential state record northern pike while fly fishing from shore in Devil's Lake. The giant measured 51.5 inches long with a 22-inch girth. Size estimates say that would have broken the state record. If you like to explore and catch trout, then you want to check out the Michigan Trout Trails website. Right now you can view 129 locations with their interactive website. Go to Michigan's DNR website for more information or do a simple Google search to find out more. Another invasive species was found last summer in Lake Coronis, Minnesota. A grass-like algae called starry stonewort. It grows in thick mats that make boating difficult and also inhibit the spawning areas of many fish. Please help stop the spread of these aquatic invasive species by adhering to Minnesota DNR's clean, drain, and dispose laws.
When we come back, we're going to take a whirlwind tour of some of the Midwest's finest panfishing hotspots.
Sportfish Michigan is your #1 source for top charter captains and fishing guides in Michigan. Our network of professionals are full-time anglers with years of experience providing customers with the best possible fishing trip services. Fish for trout, salmon, steelhead on Lake Michigan or its famous tributary rivers, the Traverse City area's world-class smallmouth bass, walleye fishing on the Detroit River and Saginaw Bay, or northern Michigan's spectacular ice fishing. We do it all. Sportfish Michigan. Get out. Get bit.
Running in rough water can be a pain, literally.
Hey, I never knew how comfortable a ride could be.
Until I added Smooth Moves to my boat. Its 4-spring design with hydraulic shock can smooth even the roughest of rides. With the built-in slide and swivel, you maintain all the function of your existing seat. A turn of the handle adjusts for conditions and passenger weight.
Hey, it's easy to install and built to last.
Smooth Moves, your back will thank you. I know mine does.
Lake Vermilion. Explore. Relax. Reconnect.
Minnesota's most beautiful lake.
Get hooked on our trophy walleye,
That's a beauty.
bass,
My favorite fish.
musky fish.
That's a beauty there.
Things to do? You'll never get bored.
Rooms with a view? We got 'em.
Lake Vermilion. 4 seasons of fun.
Hi, and welcome back, and now it's time for a highlight destination feature.
And we're talking panfish, and we're after the big ones. Big bluegills, crappies, yellow perch, and sunfish. But you know what? Not every body of water has the capacity to grow the fish to that size, and those are the lakes that we're after. So let's take a quick tour of some of the Midwest's finest panfish fisheries. Let's begin in the west with the Missouri River system in the Dakotas, particularly Lake Oahe. Best known as a walleye mecca, Oahe currently has a bumper crop of crappies that are easily caught on traditional walleye tactics, like bottom bouncing with minnows. Numerous glacial lakes in the eastern Dakotas are known for big panfish, including jumbo yellow perch. Many of these waters were formerly shallow sloughs that exploded in productivity during high water conditions.
Look at the size of that crappie. Wow. Look at that.
Wow.
In North Dakota, the Lake Audubon area near Cole Harbor is a crappie hotbed. A bit farther east, Devil's Lake is world famous for giant perch, particularly through the ice. Crossing into western Minnesota, a large number of fertile natural lakes produce outsized crappies and bluegills. The area from Alexandria, stretching on up to Park Rapids, has hundreds of waters where large panfish abound. In northern Minnesota, Leech Lake is a top producer of large crappies, bluegills, and perch.
This is as good as it gets for pan fishing, man. This is as good as it gets.
Huge Lake Winnebegoshish is well known for catching large perch, right along with the lake's abundant walleyes, with smaller surrounding waters being home to oversized crappies and bluegills. Lake Vermilion to the northeast hosts large schools of crappies ripe for catching as well. To the south and east, the Lake Onalaska area of the Mississippi River along the Minnesota-Wisconsin border is popular with ice fishermen for panfish. Giant Lake Winnebago is currently undergoing a crappie explosion, with fish being caught in traditional walleye areas in the main lake. Lake Ogeechobee in Michigan's Upper Peninsula has long been a favorite for yellow perch. To the east, harbor mouths rimming Lakes Michigan, Huron, St. Clair, and Erie are once again producing good numbers of large perch, following a downturn in the population a decade ago. Anglers fish off piers and breakwaters during spring when perch are relatively shallow. In essence, trophy panfish are widely available, although they don't just grow big everywhere. Larger waters tend to produce the biggest perch, while smaller, off-the-beaten-path lakes tend to put up the largest bluegills. Crappies can achieve large size in numerous lakes as long as they're not over-harvested, a common problem with panfish that catch and release and selective harvest can resolve.
When you hear the phrase catch and release and selective harvest, most of the time you're thinking walleye or you're thinking bass, but it's really important with panfish as well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, people think that there's an infinite supply of these big pans around, but it takes 10 years to grow a 1-pound bluegill, and that's a very, very valuable fish. So it's real important when the fish are up in shallow water and they're very accessible to overharvest. You know, keep a couple, preferably the modest size, throw the rest of the big ones back, and you'll help ensure the health of the fishery for years ahead.
And coming up next, we're going to have our first round of Angling Buzz field reporters for what's happening in their areas and on their lakes.
Folks, we finally got our warm weather and fish are on the bite. Panfish are biting all throughout the upper Midwest. That's actually the subject of today's show. Walleyes are starting to set up on main lake flats and feed aggressively, and those first waves of big smallmouths are coming in to spawn. The bronzeback bite is on. Let's talk to Jason Mitchell up at Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
Still, some of the best fishing has been happening from shore. Now, a lot of these fish have already spawned and dumped their eggs, and so now we're already entering that post-spawn period. Regardless, wherever we're fishing very slow and very methodically. If you're fishing from shore, you can still cast out jigs in like a 3-inch Kalin's twister tail, for example, and catch fish that way. Slip bobbers have been very deadly if you can find that 4 to 6 foot of water, and just sitting in those spots with slip bobbers positioned maybe 6 inches off the bottom with a leech. That's been working really well. It's probably the last thing that people have been doing, especially for the people that are still fishing out in boats, is fishing the bridges and fishing the channels where these fish are concentrated. And typically we're fishing a lot deeper, and so that's just a vertical jig bite where we're fishing anywhere from 25 all the way up to 35 feet of water out in front of the bridges. And I think what's happening is these fish are just passing through. That's a deep bite, and the key with that is fishing vertically, and again, a jig and a leech seems to be working the best.
Up next is Brad Durick over in the Red River, and you fished with him over there for those cats.
I have, and boy, we caught some big fish. And in fact, he's on them again early this year. The conditions are surprisingly perfect. The river is low. The cats are biting. Don't waste any time getting up there to the North Dakota border because the bite is on.
Catfishing on the Red River is in full swing right now with the pre-spawn bite happening, especially in the Drayton, North Dakota area. Lots of fish to be caught, lots of big fish showing up, even a few Canadian tagged fish showing up. The best bait has been cut sucker. Remember to cut your baits just a little bit smaller because they're actually feeding so aggressively that bigger bait they'll bite below the hook and you'll miss your opportunity at a fish of a lifetime. Goldeye's working, frog is working. The best way to find these fish is get on your Humminbird electronics and utilize your side imaging. Earlier in the mornings, look up along the banks, very shallow, look for little pockets of fish resting, not quite feeding, setting up. As the day warms, move down into the center of the channel along the faster water edges and you'll find fish. There's going to be some fish traveling and there's going to be some fish sitting. All in all, great bite up here on the Red River of the North.
That looks like a lot of fun. I've only been up there one time for those cats, and I'll probably be going again sometime this season. And coming up next, more Buzz Bite reports as Angling Buzz continues.
Because boaters know and follow Minnesota's aquatic invasive species laws, 98% of lakes are not known to have any zebra mussels. 95% are not known to have any kind of invasive animals or plants. Let's keep it this way. Clean aquatic plants and animals from boats, trailers, and equipment. Drain all water from watercraft, including the motor, and keep drain plugs out during transport. Dispose of unused bait properly. Together, we're preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species in Minnesota.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz. For our next report, we're going over to Mille Lacs. The weather is starting to stabilize. The smallmouth are starting to move shallow. There's still some deep. The water temps are now getting into the low 50s right now. There's some walleyes being caught longline trolling. Let's go check out Al Lindner on Mille Lacs Lake.
How's that for a brown bass, huh? That's one of those Mille Lacs specials. I came to do some smallmouth fishing and walleye fishing, and we pounded some pretty darn nice smallmouth. I got detoured on the smallies more than on the walleyes, and it's an amazing fishery, considered one of the best in the country. And if you're looking for a trophy smallmouth, come out to Mille Lacs, and the next couple 30 days are going to be dynamite. And you can catch them jerking, jigging, hair jigs, tubes, whacking, 4-inch stick baits. Al Lindner giving you some tips on trophy smallmouth on Mille Lacs Lake.
And now let's check in with Brian Brosdahl, who's up catching walleyes on the greater Leech and Lake Winnibigoshish area.
Slow jigging with RC jigs, lighter, 1/8 ounce, 16th ounce, oh that's a big one, I'm gonna have to net that one, is working, but we're not ripping the jigs this time. Normally you can rip the jigs and it works really well. We'll get them up here and, oh there we go. Moonlight is what I'm using now. Moonlight, watermelon, parakeet, those are all great colors. There's a nice fish. That's about a 25-incher. You'll see the RZ jigs are really sharp. They really zip them. They got a real bony mouth. So you want to get that shiner double hooked and get it back farther. But that's Moonlight, that's what I'm using now. Move it slower, and when you get a fish, let them have it for a second, then set the hook. The weather reports are awesome. Now it's time to get out fishing.
Our next report is from Billy Rosner up on Lake Vermilion.
Some very good reports on the walleye fishing on both the east and west ends of the lake. Some of that smaller class fish, those 12 to 16 inchers, came out of that 27 to 32 foot of water. And what I found very interesting was they're down there in that transition from sand to mud, and they're eating mayfly larvae. So look at your electronics and really pay attention to that. Some bigger fish being caught also on rigs and minnows. Crappie fishing, the crappies have kind of moved out from the shoreline. They're kind of just sitting out there a little deeper again. You have a great week, travel safe, and we'll talk to you next time.
And now let's head over into Wisconsin and check in with Gary Engberg on the Wisconsin River.
I'm on the lower Wisconsin River below Sauk City. The river's come down, it's at a real good level right now, and it's a beautiful day out here today, 70 degrees. Water temperature is in the low 60s. We're gonna be using shad wraps, what you see here, flicker shads, and maybe some walleye divers. But good colors have been about anything works. You know, Fire Tiger works, black and white works, silver and white works, blue and white works. So the fish aren't that, you know, color sensitive. You know, the Wisconsin River at a good level now, but you do need probably to use a John boat to be able to get around because she's dropping down and there's a lot of shallower water. It's hard to find any water right now over 10 feet.
Let's join Lee Tauken on the Madison chain in downtown Madison, Wisconsin.
How's that for a walleye? Right in the shadow of the state capitol. Fishing season is in full swing here in southern Wisconsin. Granted, it's been a windy spring and somewhat cold, but as you can see, the bite is red hot. For walleyes, this fish happened to be caught on a rip and wrap. It was actually on the second cast I've made here today, and we'll get this fish back. Thanks, girl. Number 6 rip and wrap. So the walleye bite, the smallmouth bite, and the largemouth bite has actually been pretty good here locally. Aggressive approaches, especially with the rip and wrap, up and down with a rattle bait like that. Soft plastics has been really good for all species as well. I'm going to get back casting. That's your Angling Buzz report for this week. Lee Tauken from southern Wisconsin.
Our next report is from Captain Ben Wolf over in Michigan.
I've got this week's fishing report for you for the state of Michigan. This full moon is going to be a great opportunity for anglers around the Lake St. Clair area that want to go bass fishing, as this full moon will pull in the first wave of bass up onto the spawning beds. Anything that resembles a goby, like this goby bait, or a tube bait should be the go-to choices for those anglers that want to get after those big spawners. Saginaw Bay continues to produce very nice catches of post-spawn walleye, especially when anglers can locate the roaming schools of walleye that are chasing gizzard shad this time of the year. Active fish are going to be the suspended fish, and crankbaits pulled behind the planer board are going to be the ticket to getting good bites there. Those fish that are inactive are going to be closer to the bottom, and crawler harnesses will get those fish to bite. For more information, or if you're looking for a captain and guide in the state of Michigan, please give Sportfish Michigan a call or check us out on the web, sportfishmichigan.com.
And when we come back, cool products and our technique of the week.
We're a camping family. We love everything about being outdoors. Spending time on the water, sitting by the campfire, eating, laughing, watching the stars at night, and just seeing what nature has to offer. I guess what I like best about camping is our family spending this time together. You can't beat it. These memories will last forever. Mills Fleet Farm, serving the outdoor enthusiast since 1955.
Lake Winnipegashish, Big Winnie. Let's go back in time to a real up-north vacation spot, a place where memories are made. Big Winnie is situated in the Chippewa National Forest and gateway to some of Minnesota's finest trophy walleye, pike, perch, untapped bass, and muskie fishing. It's the perfect place for family and friends when you really want to get away. Go to lakewinnie.net to find our little piece of heaven.
High-tech construction, building with old-world craftsmanship. Pride and passion, the same qualities that define high-tech construction go into every project we build. With meticulous attention to detail, our experienced tradesmen bring your floor plan to life. Our unwavering customer service results in a truly satisfying building experience. High-tech construction, where technology meets old-world craftsmanship.
And now it's time for our cool products of the week, brought to you by Mills Fleet Farm. And we're talking panfish, and we want to talk about line and the importance of line. Panfish can see pretty good. They're feeding on little tiny bugs and little tiny things in the water, and line size is critical. And the smaller the line size, the more bites you're going to get. And this Suffix Nano Braid is perfect for that. Now this is a braid, this is a braided line, but it's a very thin diameter line. I suppose you could probably get away with tying this direct right to your bait, but I would recommend doing a fluorocarbon or monofilament leader. So with something like this, the 6-pound line, I would go with something like this, like a Suffix Pro Mix. This is 4-pound test. And this line is very smooth, it's easy to cast, and that's really important with lighter baits, which I'm going to get to in a second. So when you have a nice subtle line that's very smooth, you can cast the bait out there. It allows the lures to do the action they need to. And getting the smaller baits like this out there, you're going to need a bobber, just like this, right here. These are bubblegum bobbers by Thill. They got some pretty cool bright colors. And this is adjustable. This is an adjustable float, and you can adjust the depth depending on how you're fishing and where you're fishing. And if you do have to make a little bit longer cast if there's a little bit of wind, the Just-A-Bubble right here. This is pretty neat. It actually has like a rubber band thing right in the middle. So you thread your line right through the middle, you pull it up, you twist it, and you can adjust the depth like that. This is good if you're fishing a little bit deeper, but for making long casts, if you're fishing kind of shallow, this is excellent. Now what are we going to put on this line and underneath these bobbers? Right here, this is a nice little assortment. There's a lot of different baits you can pick from at Fleet Farm. This here is kind of like a little sample from VMC. You have some nymph, you have some boot tails. The nice thing I like about these VMC is the hooks. The hooks are excellent. They actually have a little bit wider gap in the hook in these smaller fish. It does make a little bit of a difference. You catch more fish with that. And these bright colors, all these nice bright colors is perfect for pan fishing. And if you know exactly what you want, you can purchase these individually, or you get a kit There happens to be 180 pieces in this. This is the Southern Pro Tackle Panfish Assortment Kit. This is really nice. Now what do? You caught some fish, you want to eat them, let's fillet them. The lithium ion cordless fillet knife by Rapala. Rapala knows how to make fillet knives. This thing is sweet. This is used by a lot of camps, a lot of professional guides when they had to go through a lot of fish. This is what they use. You can get up to 80 minutes of filleting on this. That's a lot of fillets. Hopefully you're catching that many fish. The blade is super sharp, 7 inches long. Again, there's no cord, so you don't have to worry about running it to an outlet. Again, all these products are available at your local Mills Fleet Farm store. Check them out. And now it's time for our technique of the week.
For the most part, crappies are finicky at this time of year and won't move far or fast to bite. A bait suspended below a float hovers in their face, giving crappies plenty of time to examine it until finally enticing them to bite.
Oh, it's hung up.
Nice.
You got him out of there. Look at that. He came with a little salad there, huh?
Basically, a slip float setup begins with a movable thread called a bobber stop that's knotted to your line. Below that is a bead, followed by a float which actually slips on the line. Most crappie anglers tie on a 1/16 or 1/32 ounce jig tipped with either a soft plastic bait or a crappie minnow. Compared to a fixed float, which is unwieldy to cast when fishing deeper than 3 feet, a collapsible slip float rig is easier and more effective to fish around cover like reeds. When you reel up your line, the float slides down to the jig, forming a compact package that's easy to cast into tight spots. When the float hits the water, the jig falls straight down with less of a chance for the line and lure to hang up around the reeds. Crappies prefer to feed upwards, so if the reeds are in 5 feet of water, you'll want to set your slip knot around 3.5 feet above your jig. That'll suspend your bait around 1.5 feet off the bottom, in perfect position to attract attention and get bit. It's a simple and fun method to catch springtime crappies anywhere they swim.
Now, bobber fishing isn't only for panfish.
No, you take bobbers out, you're going to catch walleyes, you're going to catch steelhead, you might even catch a muskie. You know what? You can't afford not to take bobbers with you the next time you go fishing. And you know what? That pretty much wraps things up for today. I'm Dave Sanda.
And I'm Troy Lindner. And be sure to visit your local Fleet Farm store. Enter our sweepstakes for a chance to fish with us in the awesome Brainerd Lakes area.
And next week, we'll be talking about shallow water fishing. Until then, check us out on the web at AnglingBuzz.com. See what our BuzzBite reporters have to say. They'll help you put more and bigger fish in the boat in the weeks ahead.
This week's BuzzBite report.
Charlie Moore.
Ray Brostone.
Lee Talkin here.
Brad Durick up here on the Red River.
Muskegon River.
Leech Lake.
Devil's Lake. Beautiful Lake Vermilion.
From Sturgeon Bay.
From Lake Sakakawea.
Winnie.
Lake Superior.
Madison, Wisconsin. Good luck, everybody.
Have fun. We'll see you next week.